travelers, here we are on our train. We have 8,876 tonnes. We are leaving Victorville currently in the early sunset evening with the magnificent ready golden light in very much the golden hour. We have 63 cars and we are 0.7 miles long. Gradually winding our way up towards the summit of Cajon Pass with a train full of stuff. Really have to appreciate the light in the skies that we get now with the train sim world 3. It's a huge change from what we used to have. We have a green signal. We're coming past the Victorville cement plant on our right here. There's a number of switching and free play options up there. Kind of cool. I can just unstick myself to a post-it note there. Sorry about that. We can have a quick fly over here and have a bit of a look. So there's a couple of SD40s. It's a large pile. There's quite a few sidings and things up here. And in the switching scenarios, they are pretty much all used and all accessible, which is great. And it's quite an extensive area, really. A couple of nice big loops to play with. Grand view. All right, let's jump back to our train now. Running along in Notch 8 at full power at about 30 miles an hour. Current speed limit is 35. We'll work our way towards the summit and down the other side to San Bernardino. Still running through the big plant area. It's a very large operation. Certainly justifies the level of rail activity that they get. This place provides cement for all over the place. You like me? Do you always wonder what's in the boxcars? In Australia we call them vans. I always find myself wanting to know. Is it junk? Is that equipment? New fridge? TV? Could it be a car? You never really know. And we're followed up at the rear here by some hoppers. Back to the front. Still cruising through the outskirts of Victorville. So what looks like a lonely little toilet over there. Obviously a rail fan. Wants to be able to watch while they go. Don't try this at home, folks. The cars refuse to run over you now. They just pull up to you and stop. And then they honk at you. This one did actually get a little bit close. There you go. Oh, I don't get out of your way. Bye. Have a nice day. This part of the route's pretty much a straight out grind with your throttle in run 8. Just pulling hard. I don't have any other locomotives on this train. It's just the 3 up the front here. Skies are gradually purpling, suggesting we'll probably be going down the pass in the dark. Magic colours. Got the dragging equipment detectors we're coming up on here. And it's starting to rain. Fantastic. Nothing better than a run down the hill in the hardest braking zone in the game, and it's raining. Fantastic. We've got our defect detectors here. Basically, when the trains pass these things, they'll call out something on the lines of, if they worked, BNSF detector, milepost, whatever it is. No defects. No defects. And they might call out you a number of cars, or they might call out the number of axles they detected. Yeah, the weather's certainly starting to turn, isn't it? I'm going to really appreciate the light cast from the headlights as we head down the hill. One of the other big changes in 3 is that the headlights work. Look at that. Really getting heavy now. Oop, bit of thunder. Thunder and lightning, very, very lightning. We won't finish that because we'll get a copyright strike. Impressive. Thunder's certainly getting closer. California desert needs the water. I doubt it needs the lightning, but it needs the water. Sounds like we've got another train. We do. A couple of SD40s and some cement hoppers, probably waiting to go into the plant at Victorville. The rain's easing off now, which is great. Oh, they've got them stacked up in the sidings today. There's another SD40 local, quite likely also waiting to go into the cement plant. dispatchers stacked them and racked them. That one looks like it might even be a works train with, are they railway ties? Bit hard to tell. No, they're not. There's metal sheets or something. I'm tipping the people in those cars just got just a little bit of a surprise then. Perhaps they may need some fresh accoutrement. Back into the rain again. Or lightning. Still got some lovely colours in the sky going on up here. So impressed with the sunsets and sunrises. That was close. So have you got Cajon Pass? Are you enjoying playing it? Let me know in the comments. If you've got any questions on train handling on the hills, by all means, give us a yell. I should turn down the brightness on these a little, which is a bit hard with the HUD turned off, so we can just turn that back on. Brightness, dimmer, that one. Let's bring the brightness down. It's a bit better. Don't press on the screen, press the button, you wally. Alright. Still a bit bright, but much better than it was. Cool. So now when you get these trains, it's a big improvement. They are pumped up, they are ready to rock and roll, and all you have to do is release the brakes and off you go. I enjoyed the prototypical nature of putting a train together and pumping it up and waiting the 10 minutes or so in the previous routes, but what I didn't enjoy was turning up on the main line somewhere and discovering that my train had no air. So that was on Sherman Hill. That is unrealistic, because in reality they'd have a minimum brake set and the independent fully applied on the locomotive if they were handing over to another crew. They wouldn't dump the air. But now it is really good. We're doing a bit of SMO, single man operation today. Not much heard on the radio today. It's okay. Let's just get rid of the HUD. Keep an eye on the signals though, since we've got a yellow coming up. So in this video I'm only going to take us to the top of the pass today, and I'll do the run down the other side on my lonesome, because it will be in the dark, and to be honest, running in the dark, not all that exciting from a video perspective. It's certainly fun from a playing perspective, so I'm looking forward to it. Not such good watching. Oh, look at the headlights light up the billboard. How good's that? Now, is that our signal up there, or is that a car? Hard to tell at this early moment. Still a bit of light rain going on. Down the back of our train. It's just passing that billboard, so that gives you a bit of an idea how long it is. Let's pop back up the front. Back we are with the rain again. New speed zone, but have a look. That's okay. Our yellow signals coming up. I'm going to stay on full power. We are on a fairly steep gradient here, because this is our first yellow indication. And interestingly enough, in this railroad, they go all Australian. They actually run left rail, which is unusual for the United States. And in some places in Australia, it's even unusual for us. So our commuter stuff's all left rail, but freight's often right rail. So it's a bit of a novelty to run this way. Some really big storage tanks up here. My expectation this high up in the mountains is that they would be water. It's a very dry area and still quite a lot of population to be serviced. Oops, I went the wrong way. It's so hard to tell in the dark. Want a gratuitous bridge shot. There we go. Can't stay here too long though, or we'll end up running through a signal. Because the next one's either going to be yellow again, or it's going to be red. That was very, very close. That would have been quite a surprise. Yeah, little hot dog man down there. It's sprinkled around the route all over the place. Little hot dog people selling their wares. Interesting place to be selling. I wonder how much business he would actually get there. For rate is allowed to do 40 mile an hour through here. Radio antenna just copped a whack. Fortunately, they're designed for things like that. Finally coming out of town here. A couple more houses up on the hill, but not much to go. Very minor little crossing there. The highway down to our left, you can just see the head and tail lights of the cars. So I find myself quite enjoying Cajon Pass. I don't find the monster long freight runs that interesting, but the majority of the services are broken up into 2 or 3 pieces that are quite manageable to do in an hour setting. So that I really like. So I can pick a service, I can start it at one end of the route, and I can run for an hour, do the high speed section, and then I can come back to it and run for another hour, do the middle ground section, and then I can come back to it again and run the last hour and go through the pass, which is what we're doing now. for me that works out quite nicely because it's not too hard to find an hour to do some gameplay. Got another yellow here, yellow and red, so the next signal will probably actually be red. Up there at the top of the pass. Or I'm changing tracks. We'll find out soon enough. It's a little early to be slowing down yet, but I'll just have to keep an eye on this next signal. My next landmark is a very large radio antenna that sits on the other side. We are in fact changing tracks, there we go. So we probably won't have a red up next because we've just gone onto the right rail. Watch our little snake do that. A bit hard to see in the dark, isn't it? Perhaps we'll stop watching our little snake changing tracks because you can't really see it. Oh, there's a thought. How cool would it be if the 8-cam had a spotlight you could turn on? I'm going to need to ask about that one. Ooh, very close. Pacing along the highway to our left there. I'm getting a lot of very close strikes today. Nothing on the train yet, but very close. You don't have to worry too much about that though, apart from the adhesion factor of your rails are going to be slippery, because if it does hit the train, they are designed for it. They are, after all, massive metal things that are higher than pretty much everything else. See the row of telegraph poles off to the left there. But does let me know we're not too far away from the pass. Let's do a quick speed check. We are currently doing 31 mile an hour. I am happy with that. Interestingly enough, you know, I work real life on a heritage railway, and the first time I got to run the train down the big hill, the driver says to me, he goes, "Have you gone down the hill and learnt the brake yet?" And I go, "No, and I'm not that comfortable doing that." And he goes, "Well, there's only one way to learn. Step into my office." And off we went. And I have to say he was right. I learned more about Westinghouse brake management in about 25 minutes than you could ever learn running a train up a hill. Or reading a book. Or watching a video. You get to understand what the train's doing by watching the gauges and hearing the hiss, the different hisses that the braking system makes while you apply and release. And you can even feel the air rushing through the handle. It's actually a very cool experience, and quite happy to have been given that opportunity. Certainly not the last time I've done it, but you will always remember your first time. Listen to that flange squeal as we come around that tight corner back there. Imagine the sound of these big diesels reverberating through this valley. There wouldn't be anywhere that you couldn't hear it. Mind you, the thunder would give it its run for its money, I guess. Yeah, we're back to a normal green up here. You can see the high voltage power lines. I haven't seen my big radio mast yet, and that's the point that I know I'm very close to the summit. Just for the fun of it, I have tried a speed run down the hill. I did get to the bottom, but it was a little bit hairy. Maybe I'll do that on a video one day, or on a stream. It's certainly fun. There we go, running onto the right rail here. That's where we'll actually leave the other tracks shortly. There's the water tank, which is another good landmark up there on the left with a light on it. It's very handy that they put a light on it for the night running, so you know where you are. It's one of the things that you absolutely must have running trains is route knowledge. Because if you don't know where you are, you don't know how to react. Because if you react when something happens to you, it's too late. It really is too late. You need to react in front of it. You need to anticipate. So as an example, I keep saying I know I'm getting near the top of the pass, and I've been watching out for my landmarks. And you need landmarks that are visible in the daytime and the nighttime like this. You need landmarks that'll work in the fog. So you need some really close landmarks and you need some far landmarks. But get to know your route, play it a lot, and you'll be okay. Because if you go over the hill unprepared, you'll be in a runaway condition very quickly. You might get it back. Brakes on these are relatively good. But you might not too. You might just come a cropper. Lost a lot of speed now. We're down to 22 mile an hour. If you're wondering how I know that, I have a rail driver sitting next to me that I just glanced at. But we can pop back into the cab if you like, and yep, confirmed, 22 mile an hour. Here's our radio mast coming up on the left here. It's a little bit hard to see in the dark, but you can see one tall skinny thing that's sticking up higher than the other poles. One thing I do love now about the new lighting is if we look in the sky, look how it blends. It's quite nice. You used to get this quite perceptible banding that you don't really get anymore. Another big close lightning strike. I imagine you can see the mast I'm talking about now. It's right off to the left of the locomotive at about 8 o'clock. Right there, just past it. Righto then, folks. Now that we have pretty much reached the top of the hill, this is where I'm going to leave you for this video, and I will take it down the other side. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed just watching the lighting change as we went through the sunset into the early evening and then finally into the darkness with some thunder and lightning. Very, very frightening. You shouldn't, you know. Anyway, have fun, folks. See you later. Bye.